when you're an anthropologist, you have to be very careful to not impose your culture and your structures and what you know and the way you see the world on a new concept, you know?
Our goal was to research, build, and participate in a temporary mixtec ni'i, commonly known as a sweat bath or temescal. Through Maestra Angelina's lectures, we learned about several illnesses not recognized by clinical medicine. The sweat bath is an esteemed method of treatment for many of these illnesses. While postnatal treatment is the most common use of the ni'i, other ailments treated by the ni'i include respiratory and skin problems, cramps, and sore muscles. The first step in building the ni'i involved clearing and leveling the ground. This work is most often performed by men, with women being the most common users. Men also gather most of the materials for the ni'i, including the willow branches for the frame and the piedras azules rocks and avocado wood for the fire. Don Jose helped us construct the physical structure of the sweat bath and also built the fire pit. The second step in building the ni'i involved placing the rocks in concentric circles, perfectly balancing the weight of the others, and eventually enclosing itself in a dome shape. This proved to be a difficult task, as ours toppled and needed to be rebuilt. It took many hands to hold it in place, and even more to rebuild it. It was amazing to see the quickness and precision with which he was able to make this structure. It required finding just the right rock each time for any particular space. Don Jose said that the rocks only last for about 3 to 4 hours, after which they no longer hold heat and get tired. At this point, they are put aside.
This class and this whole program in anthropology engages directly with the community and works with the community and has the community help to direct what we're going to study and how we're going to go about doing it. Requires a lot of flexibility. This is university community collaboration that you're engaged in here. I want you to know that. You always have to zoom out and get a macro view of what you're doing. That's what anthropologists do. And you take a look at the whole thing.
Willow branches are utilized because they are pliable and therefore easy to bend into the arches needed to make the sweat bath. Furthermore, willow contains salicylic acid, which is used in pain relievers such as aspirin. The branches are tied together with twine and left to dry and harden into a solid frame. The next step involved the building of the sweat bath skeleton. Don Jose used a machete to sharpen the edges of the poles. He inserted them into the ground and bent the poles towards one another. He then used wet palm fiber to bind them together into an arc shape. He repeated this step and showed us how to bind the poles horizontally across the length of the 4 pairs of arc-shaped poles. At the end near the fire pit, the sharpened poles were forced into the ground, closing the structure. The other open end would become the sweat bath entrance. After we built the structure and were ready to actually participate in a bath, the fire was lit. We had to start our day at sunrise in order to allow the fire enough time to burn long enough to heat the rocks. Once the fire was going strong, the rocks were left to heat for 2 to 3 hours. Once the rocks are hot enough, the fire is put out.
These are very early in the morning. Very like at 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody needs to start a fire because they need to bring the right wood stick to start a fire, and it needs to burn like 2 hours.
Next, the sweat bath was covered with water-soaked cardboard. Cardboard is also laid on the ground inside of the ni'i, and bathers lay on it. This allowed us to lay and sit in the structure without touching the dirt. After this, blankets are laid on top of the structure, providing a steady and stable cover and also keeping the steam inside. A blanket also functions as the opening or door to the ni'i. Before starting our experience, Maestra Angelina brought in a bucket filled with roux-infused water. Roux is also used in the Mixteca and is believed to keep negative forces out of the sweat bath. Roux is known to have medicinal properties, which can aid in respiration by opening up the lungs. Angelina also made a handheld Tronadora or Zapote Blanco broom. Either can be used. Both plants are thought to extract toxins and open the body up. Inside the bath, Angelina dipped the broom in the roux-infused water and began slapping it over the entirety of our bodies. This brushing over the body is thought to remove impurities from the body by creating a suction-like effect. Each group of 3, with assistance from their guide, stayed inside between 5 and 7 minutes, depending on when the guide believed they had had enough. It is very important when being treated with a sweat bath to have an experienced guide with you at all times.
The person stayed home until the steam bath is ready, around 9 o'clock in the morning, because the person can't really can be exposed to the temperature, the outside temperature. That way it won't get worse. So they make sure that the steam bath is ready, and then they bring the person, they cover the person with a blanket, and they take them to the steam bath. And they stay over there like the whole, pretty much half of the day. They get inside for 10 to 15 minutes, or until 20 minutes. They take the first session, and then they go outside and they rest.
Upon exiting the ni'i, we were encouraged to rest for the entirety of the day. We were also advised to keep our heads covered and to avoid cold winds and liquids.